This episode of Outlander Cast is brought to you by MinuteWithMary.com. So this is our last Outlander podcast for the month of April. Right?
Yes, that's right. I think so. Yes, actually.
Close. Second to last, maybe last. But I did want to remind you that the greatest deal I have on my website at Minute with Mary is my April bundle. It is $450 of full-size products from my website, all about just loving on yourself. We all need it, right? We're all going through a lot right now. So I've got my hydrating face mask, my rose water toner, some cleansing cloths, some of my favorite makeup, including my best-selling mascaras. $450 worth of product for just $99. And because I love you guys so much, I'm throwing in an extra $25 coupon. I want you to get the best bargain. I know finances are tight for everybody, but I do think that, putting on a little bit of makeup helps me feel better about myself, and I hope that it could do that for you. So if you'd like more information, you can head on over and search the hashtag Minute with Mary. Find me on Facebook. I want to give you the hookup. Please never feel weird about contacting me on social media. I'm just a normal person trying to hook you up with the greatest deal.
If I were to tell Jeremiah my story, our story, would he feel for me?
You can't make someone love you.
Well, I've heard the expression, learn to love. Perhaps you could learn to love me for the sake of our son. I think I could learn to love you. When you came to me in the jail, and told me that there'd be something left of me on this earth, I couldn't forget how that made me feel. It wasn't for revenge or for money. So will you teach me how to love?
I'll wait for you.
All the way from Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to Outlander Cast. It's a podcast dedicated to the show Outlander on Stars.
Sing me a song of a last that is gone. Say goodnight, last Leon. Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the seas to
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Mary Larson.
My name's Blake, and I don't have the coronavirus. Don't have it.
Nope.
It's out.
I mean, that we know of. We'll know like 100% for sure next
tested
week.
Negative.
But he tested negatively. So
tested negative,
good.
ladies and gents.
So,
if you listen to
cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers. If you listened to the listener feedback episode last week, you knew that I had to self-isolate for a little bit just because a couple of coworkers of mine tested positive. So I'm home. I'm out of the basement. Oh, technically I'm in the basement right now, but I'm out of the basement. I'm out of the dungeon. I'm with my wife. I'm with my children.
All is well.
I'm able to sleep in my own bed. And all is well in my world. So I'm very, 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 very excited about that.
And we are thrilled to be able to come and talk about this episode. We did need to delay it. Blake had a headache, not involved with the coronavirus, just probably from the stress of being locked in the basement and worried about what was happening to him.
That's probably true.
But we, of course, are a day late, not $1 short. And we are so, so excited to be able to talk about this episode. This episode, in case you haven't got the memo, guys, was crazy for us book readers. And for show watchers, crazy too, but you don't even know why it was so crazy for us. Our minds were blown.
Yeah, this was an interesting episode.
Hey, look at you using that word.
And I'm not meaning that in a negative way, like how we kind of do that normally. But it was an interesting episode.
I agree.
I think a lot of things happened. I mean, a lot of things happened. Mm-hmm. I remember as we were watching it, Mary, you were saying, I feel like this episode's an hour and a half long.
Yeah, I kept saying, I feel like this is a movie. So many things have happened, and we're only like 40 minutes in, 50 minutes in.
Yes.
How has this much stuff happened? And as I said, and I'm going to say it once again, prefacing that all book readers, we know that this was kind of crazy. They took things from book 6 and was just like, here. Like, you know what I mean? I'll let the cat in the bag. Bonnet doesn't die now. So, for this to happen now, it makes us all go, oh, okay. And I love when the show does this. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing. I love when the show trips me up. It's like we're confident. We're like, we know what's happening. We know. Nope. Didn't see that one coming. All right. Hold on. Buckle up.
Yep. Nope. Hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
Yes. So,
Seriously.
of course, remember, we don't have any spoilers in this conversation regarding as a book spoilers.
Well, you just dropped a bomb on people who hadn't read the books yet.
No, and I'm just saying, like, that's not... It would have been a spoiler if, like, last episode I say, Bonnet dies.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I know, but just in terms of book
Bonnet
spoilers.
kidnaps Bree. Like,
Yeah,
that would have
true.
been a spoiler. But I'm just telling you that's why if your friends are book friends and they're saying, this was crazy, it's taking a little bit for me to wind my mind around it. What is that phrase?
Wrap my brain?
Not wind.
Hey, how many
Not my
Trulies you've been
brain.
drinking?
Oh, not enough. Not enough, my friend. So before we get into this show, of course, we wanted to invite you to check out myself and Blake on social media. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all with the title Mary and Blake. Don't forget that we are going to be, creating content now through Outlander, whether it's Outlander related or other shows or books that we find fascinating. And that's one of the great things about the Outlander fandom is that we can find other things that we love and bring us joy throughout the darkness of Outlander. So make sure you find us there. And now let's get into the show. Great, Blake, kick things off for me.
Well, the title was Mercy Shall Follow Me for this episode, and the writer was a brand new writer, as a matter of fact, Megan Farrell Burke. Now, you definitely do not know that name. That's because she is brand new to the Outlander staff for season 5. This is her first year. As a matter of fact, she's just a lowly staff writer. When I say lowly, I don't mean like she's not a good writer. I mean like it's just that's the entry level position for someone who is ready to start taking on their own credits. So usually when you're a staff writer, you don't get credit at all. You're just there to help support the real writers who get credit. And so for television writers, this is a first step in an entry level or in that kind of position. It's not as glorious as it really kind of seems. It doesn't, like I said, doesn't receive credit, but this is the proving ground for people who are looking to make their mark on a television series, or it's a proving ground for someone who's like, I really like this. I like this other show that I really, really like, but I can't get on that show as a staff writer. I'm going to go work on this show as a staff writer, and then I'm going to graduate up a level to become a real writer, and then I'll get the credits. Or if it's for someone like Richard Cahan. Remember Richard Cahan?
Yeah.
So he was a staff writer.
Okay.
And he was a personal assistant to Ira Stephen Bear.
Yeah.
Then later on, in season 2, I believe, he actually wrote Untitled Resurrection, as a matter of fact, and he got his first credit for Outlander, and that's how that works. So, it's basically an entry to the writing world for any kind of new writer. And the director was Andy Griffin. Andy Griffin, I think, who did a fantastic freaking job on this episode. Andy Griffin is also a relative newcomer to Outlander. She's only directed one other episode of Outlander, and that was last episode, Monsters and Heroes. And that is that, Marvin.
I love it. I love it. I love learning all these things and kind of seeing how the Outlander family grows within the production stuff, within the people we don't get to see on screen. You know what I mean? So let's get on into this. All right. Kilt rating. Bring it on. Dun, 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 dun. I'm giving this episode, if I can work this tablet, I'm giving this episode a 5.
Really?
Not a 5+ like last week, but a solid 5.
Okay.
Yes.
Why the difference?
Last week just brought me like all the joy and all the feels, and I don't know. I just felt so many different things last week. And this week I just felt straight anxious. Mm-hmm. Like that was it. And I'm already an anxious person. Plus it's a pandemic. So I can't give it that extra like, yeah, I'm going to want to have this on every single day in the background. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a great episode. It wasn't one that I would skip. Obviously, I'm giving it a 5, which is like the highest you can do. But it's not getting the plus.
Sure.
But it was very good.
Okay. For myself, I'm getting a 4.75. I enjoyed seeing Ed Speleers as Stephen Bonnet finally getting some real stuff to this, some real work from him as an actor and as a character for Stephen Bonnet. You get a somewhat of a sense for the guy in this episode. Finally getting to spend some time with him, getting a little bit more understanding of his character. But I can't help but think that Bonnet, being such a terrifying figure within the Outlander universe, and trust me, he is. He's just gone too quickly. He came and he went, and I find that a little frustrating because I would have liked to have spent more time with him as a character, and I think it's somewhat of a missed opportunity to just at the end of this episode. Goodbye. I think that's a missed opportunity. So that because of that, and for some other reasons that are within the text of it itself, I'm giving it a 4.75.
Okay.
What do you got for your GBG? You're good, you're bad, and you're great.
Okay, so I put that on my phone. So excuse me for a second. Do you have your GBG so you could pull it up before I do?
I do.
Good.
All right.
For it.
So for me, the good obviously was Ed Speleers, and Ed Speleers in this episode really, really brought it. And I loved his conversation that he had that we actually played at the beginning of this episode, where he's saying, I feel like you could learn to love me. And I mean, I guess I could learn to love you too. I just, that acting moment when he stops and he just, and then he walks up to Bree and he's right next to her in her ear. And I really believed him when he was saying, oh my God, when you told me I had something of myself, this made me change as a person. And my God, I just, I got shades of the Garrison Commander in this episode. This is not the Garrison Commander, but I got shades of it, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. The
bad for me, and this is why this is not the Garrison Commander. The bad is that I understand that Stephen Bonnet is a straight up sociopath, if not at the very least a psychopath. I get that. But Stephen Bonnet as a character is not dumb. His world is a complicated world. He's gone this far in his life primarily because he is not dumb. He is made, within his world, right, the criminal world, he's made the right moves, and he's got himself to a status where he can take advantage of a lot of important people. You don't get that by being stupid. And for him to not be able to read Bree properly as they are interacting doesn't feel honest to that character. And the fact that it takes a kiss for him to recognize that she's been lying to him this whole time.
And I'll be real, watching that kiss, I was like, well, it's pretty believable. Like, I've seen kisses like that on TV, and it's supposed to be in love. It would be different if she was making like a ew kind of face.
Yes.
Meaning she tried. Bree gave it the good old college try at making it a believable kiss.
Right.
Reminded me of my first kiss.
So, not with me, right?
No,
okay,
with
good.
You.
Again, it takes a kiss for him to, like, if he's emotionally intelligent enough to understand a kiss and the meaning behind that and what it takes for her to give him a good kiss, he can't recognize the fact that she is just totally uncomfortable and totally not on board with anything that he's saying the entire time.
He knows about body language.
I don't know. The way that he was treating her throughout the episode, it makes me believe that he was believing her. That she was like, okay, I'll go get Jemmy and we'll come back and it'll be great. And it just seemed like, okay, I believe you. All right, this is great. And then he kisses her.
We'll talk about that soon more.
The reason why I say this, because as viewers, if we can understand that Bree is lying, if we can obviously see it, regardless of how much we know her, Bonnet should be able to do that too.
I mean, Bonnet's crazy though, honey. That's the problem with crazy people. You can't uncrazy them, and they can't always see things the way that we see them.
Yeah, I don't know. I get again.
And you know when you've talked yourself into really liking a person, and it's just really not meant to happen, but you're like, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an argument to be made there that he is just in such a position in wanting to have Jemmy for the sake of the money that he's convinced himself that Bree does like him.
Well, and we'll talk about this. Let's get through
Sorry.
the GBGs.
All right, and then my great is everything about the end. The ending was The ending
meaning Bonnet drowning and Bree shooting him.
It's again, what's so important to a show is setting and showing me something that I've never seen before. The show nailed setting in so many different capacities. We'll get into it. But the ending, seeing a man put to death by drowning and how it was done with his arms up, the water slowly rising. But not only that, and seeing Bonnet like scream out, being like,
yes.
But not only that, having Bree be the one to kill him. And here's the most important part: to not hold your hand about why she did it. They went down that territory. They towed the line of being like a little too much. All right, here's why, with Roger asking the question, but she doesn't even answer him, and she walks away as to whether or not it was mercy or just making sure that he was dead. And leaving it up to the viewer to understand and to their own interpretation is a thing of gold. Give me that every day, all day. And I loved Ed Spaliers. You know what? I have to do this.
Give it to him. Give it, baby. Oh yeah. Makes me want to shout.
Ed Spaliers with his face as he sees Brianna, and off camera, Brianna walking up with a rifle in her hand. His face was absolute fracking gold. Oh, whew. Okay, you know I like me some bad guys, so I'm going to go off. Okay, go ahead.
My GBG. First off, and I love that ours are so different. I just love this. And this is one of the things that I need to preface this episode with. This episode, I think I can tell it was a different writer because this episode was all upon your personal interpretation. This episode was left you asking questions like, why did they do that? Was he being honest? Was he playing a game all along? Was it mercy because she shot him, or was it because she wanted to, kill him herself? These are all questions that we are meant to leave with and meant to answer on our own. I don't think that there's, Diana Gabaldon, yes, could probably come out and say it was this or that. But I think that this is something that's really exciting as a show watcher, and even as a book reader who's watching this as a show, is to kind of have these questions to yourself and to answer them for yourself. So I don't think anybody's right or wrong.
By the way, just wanted to call this out.
Yeah.
We're obviously broadcasting live as we're recording this podcast. So everybody listening, thank you very much. Everybody watching, thank you very much. We just passed 410 people.
Yay!
We met our goal of 410 people watching us live. So I'm very excited about that.
And don't forget, click share if you're watching us on Maryanne Blake Media on Facebook, YouTube, Outlander Cast on Twitter. You can share all of those venues. If you are in the Outlander Cast Clan Gathering, you can't share because it's a closed group, but you can invite your friends and tag them.
Yes.
So, all right, GBGs, my good, my bad, and my great. My good was Jocasta's absolute utter joy giving away all of her fortune. Who is she? Is she Oprah? Like, no joke. She was like, and baby gets money, and then, she doesn't even call it baby Felicity, just like, and the baby gets money, and, Fergus gets this. And, my favorite was when she said, I even wrote it down because I loved it so much when she was talking about Ian. Like, she just felt all the feels for Ian. It made me smile. She says, oh God, where is it? Oh, young Ian, bless him. Right? Like, how stinking sweet. Young Ian, bless him. He needs $2,000. And he just made me feel like Oprah. She was just over the top giddy, all the extra.
You get pounds and you get pounds.
Seriously.
Everybody gets pounds.
It's
Oprah.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so my bad, same scene. Fancy Pippin went crazy. And it felt very awkward. Like, he just kind of snapped out of nowhere.
He went
in
full
a way
Gollum.
that, like, like the ring took over his brain. Lord of the Rings references going all throughout this for those of you who don't know, because the character is actually the same character as Pippin. But yeah, he just went like really crazy, and I didn't fully believe him as that. I mean, I guess people snap, and this was his way of snapping. Obviously, he snapped. He tried to kill her with the most gorgeous pillow. Pippin, please have better choice in ways to kill people. Am I great? And this is something simple, but I loved it. Bree and Claire at the beach.
Oh, yes.
Just those moments together, and once again weaving in that time travel aspect. Oh, we don't get to see this anymore because of the pollution, and how great that we get to see these whales. And we did get to see a museum, and I got to see a whale once when we lived in New England. And I did also love the moments between the guys. Like, I liked how the guys and the gals had their own separate time just to have those sweet moments. You had Roger talking with Jamie about, no, I'm going to be the one that kills him. So I really liked those moments, but if I had to pick, it would have been the Claire and Bree moment on the beach. And just, they're like, remember running on the beach? It's just, they've got all this heaviness going on in their lives. And it reminded me of now. Like, we've got major stuff going on now. Mm-hmm. But finding those moments of joy and simplicity really can do so much. And that's what it made me think. And that's why it was my great.
Yes, excellent. We actually have a listener here say, let's see, where was it? Oh, okay. So Andrea Norman on YouTube is saying, not a book reader, but should we be worried that killing Bonnet a book early is Outlander trying to wrap up the series sooner? Mary, what do you think about that? Let's just get into Bonnet, killing Bonnet, and the whole thing. Let's just do it right away.
Oh, all right. So do I think that's going to be wrapping up the series sooner? So this is the thing, is they've only been promised up through 6 seasons of Outlander. Mm-hmm. To me, that doesn't mean that it has to be book 6. You know what I mean? They can kind of pull things that they want to pull if it's going to be a series wrap, which of course would be heartbreaking for all of us. We love these characters. We love these actors. We love the show, but we haven't been promised anything further than that by the studio. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily see a problem with them wrapping up this Bonnet plot line early, even though it wasn't book 6, because there is a ton of stuff to be had in book 6. So
right.
That's my 2 cents. I do feel like Ed Speleers is such an amazing actor that for him to kind of be dragged along. There were things that he did in the books even before now that kind of sprinkled him in ways that we kind of got to see tastes of it. And you would just kind of be getting more of those little tastes, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I think them killing Bonnet now is fine. I do.
Do you think it's fine in terms of the story itself, or do you think it's fine that they're moving it up just for the sake of moving it up to get to other things?
Both.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
So do you think the whole thing with Bonnet this season, how it led up to him, how the final confrontation, did it feel natural to you? Did it work for you overall?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Like, he was always there.
Yes.
And then we've got this, as I said, in the book, it is more drawn out, and this is a much longer process. Mm-hmm. But if we're looking at it by the show, I enjoyed it. And I think that these next 2 episodes are going to be just as anxious and fast paced. So I wouldn't have said, oh, push it to the finale or push it later or leave it. Like, we needed to have, and think about it, we actually killed 2 villainous people in this episode. We killed Forbes and Bonnet.
Sure.
So, there's still things to be had in season 6. And I think that that's probably what people are kind of like, okay, the bad guy's gone. Now what? It's like, now what do we do? Yeah,
part of me as a show watcher only, listen, I want, all right, they're killing Stephen Bonnet off, and this is kind of getting into my outlandish theory, so I won't go into it fully. But killing Stephen Bonnet off in episode 10, to me, feels a little early. It feels like, okay, you know what it reminds me of? Here's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the final season of Game of Thrones, the big battle of Winterfell, and then all of a sudden, spoiler alert, all of the White Walkers are dead.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
That was not okay to drop that.
So what?
But I know what you mean.
It was a social zeitgeist. I'm sure everybody here has seen it, and if they haven't seen it yet, they aren't going to watch it.
Yeah.
So it just all of a sudden the White Walkers, and then all of a sudden they were gone.
And then you sit there and you say, but there's still more episodes of this show.
And like, what are we doing? Like, where are we going with this? And you know what? I think there was an argument to be made at the time that...
This is what I'll say to you. For anyone who's feeling this way, like, oh my gosh, they killed Stephen Bonnet. That was kind of quick. I didn't expect him to die already. What the heck? What are we going to do for the next 2 episodes? I want to say this. Have you enjoyed season 5 so far?
I've especially enjoyed the back half.
So, that being said, you've enjoyed the back half. I think you will enjoy the back half. Have faith.
Listen.
No, I'm not just saying this to you. I'm saying this to anybody who may be sitting there saying, well, now what? Trust me, just like in Game of Thrones, we got rid of the White Walkers and then we had to deal with the issues between all the humans. Okay, so there's still some other things to deal with. So don't worry.
Right, and I appreciate that. So I think there's a couple of things that we have to talk about here that we have to break it down. One, are there other things that they can get to, especially for the final 2 episodes? I would say this is probably. In my estimation, this feels a little bit of like an unconventional move, killing your main bad guy in the one that you've been building to for 2 seasons, killing him in episode 10 of a 12-episode season. I think that's an unconventional move. I'm willing to go along to get along because Matt Roberts
You will reevaluate. You will reevaluate at the end of this season to say, was the timing of killing Bonnet proper?
Matt Roberts so far has done a great job, especially in the back half. So I'm willing to go along the ride that he's giving me. I'm not going to take the story out of his hands. However, I will say this. I wish I got to spend more time with him. I wish I got more of the Bonnet and Bree stuff.
I think that was because of Ed Speleers, in my personal opinion. I've never been a fan of like reading Bonnet. I just haven't enjoyed him. You know, like you can enjoy villains. I mean, you love reading and watching villains. I haven't loved reading Bonnet. He just makes me sick. But Ed Speleers gave him this magic where like you can't stop watching. It's like when you drive by an accident and you say, don't look. And then you start to look and you're like, oh, I'm slowing down traffic, but I'm curious. Ed Speleers made me even more curious about Stephen Bonnet. And because of that, I mourn him. I mourn him as a character on my screen that gave different insight and filled out this character that I didn't love. I didn't love Stephen Bonnet just because for all sorts of reasons, I don't like his character. It's not that he was poorly written at all. I just don't like him. So,
I think I'm entranced by Ed Speleers the same way that I was entranced by Tobias Menzies. Like Blackjack Randall, I think in the show is a far greater character than he was in the books. I've read the first 2 books. So I feel like I have a pretty good insight on that character in both book and show. He was a far better character in the show. And he was made even better by Tobias Menzies. So when I'm talking about Stephen Bonnet, I think I'm really talking about Speleers and the gravitas that he has and the kind of charisma that he has on screen.
So let's do this. Ed Speleers is now done with Outlander.
Yes.
Let's all make sure that we follow him on social media and like send him a message being like, R.I.P., but you were awesome. You took a character that I really didn't care for. A, he was terrible as a human being, but B, I just didn't enjoy him that much. And you made me look forward to seeing you on screen. You made me look forward to seeing what he could do. So just know that like Ed Speleers is probably a little bummed that he's done with this, great show. And people obviously love him as this character because we all love to hate him. And we'll keep our eyes on him. I did not know, just from watching him on Downton Abbey, I did not know that he was capable of this level of acting. No. And I am definitely going to be following him as an actor.
Your boy Jimmy on Downton Abbey, he was one thing. Stephen Bonnet, a totally different thing.
So I think there's much in store for Ed Speleers, and I think he's going to enjoy, staying in contact with the Outlander community.
I think so too. I wonder if there's an opportunity for him later on in flashback episodes or haunting bits, where he can come in for a day, do a day's worth of work, and then head off to whatever else he's doing. Kind of like how Tobias Menzies has done.
Maybe we can interview him now that he's dead.
Oh yes,
Outlander. That's who I want.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
What else is he doing right now?
Yeah, Jimmy ain't doing nothing. I don't know what he's doing, but he ain't doing anything in particular right now. So are you happy with how they handled his death? Like, are you happy with the choice that the writers made in having Bree kill him the way that she did and leaving it up to our interpretation?
Yes. Can I tell you guys something? I know we don't often talk books.
Okay.
In the books, Bree tries to shoot him at some point.
Okay.
And she shoots his balls.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Mary.
And it's like talked about. Someone's like talking about like sewing up some guy's testicles. So in the Outlander cookbook is Bonnet's salty balls, and they're like pretzel salty chocolate balls, which are actually very delicious. But for people who are show watchers, you may come to that part and be like, I don't understand why.
Oh man.
So I know we don't usually drop like book things, but obviously it's not going to happen on screen. And I just thought for those of you who do have the cookbook, or maybe you want to order it while you're in quarantine, that you'd be like, why are Bonnet's balls
this salty ball?
And I think they were actually given to Diana. I think they were actually given to Diana by the author, like as like, oh hi, I'm writing a book. Is it okay if I get your blessing? Here are Bonnet's salty balls.
Yeah.
And Diana was like, wow,
that's great.
wow,
thank you. So here's another question I got for you. Did you
pivot? That was a pivot.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big league pivot. It was a minor league pivot. We'll go with that.
But you were asking, am I okay that Bree ended up shooting him?
Yeah. And are you okay with them leaving it up to interpretation?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you like it, them leaving it up to interpretation as opposed to knowing?
Well, once again, show being show, I think that this episode in particular left us having our own interpretations. Mm-hmm. And I find that very exciting. I find that very exciting, especially in times like now where we get to discuss things like a show that we love with friends online and say, well, what did you think? And what did you think? So, Blake, I will ask you this.
What?
Do you think Bree killed him to make sure he was dead because he was such a tricky little rat, or to give him mercy?
I would say both.
Ooh.
I would say both. I don't think you have to choose. I don't think it's important to choose. And I don't think it's important to choose because Bree knows and we don't have to. That's what the story is. I always, one of my favorite endings ever is the Sopranos ending. And the Sopranos ending was one, and if you haven't seen it by now, you're never going to see it. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. They're in the middle of this diner, and all of a sudden, the screen cuts to black. That's it. And there's music playing, and the screen cuts to black. Everybody, when they were watching it, thought their TVs broke.
Yeah.
Because it was like black. And I loved it. And a lot of people hated it because it was like, what the hell? We don't know what happens to these people. It just
That's
cuts
how
to
Roger's
black.
feeling right now. He's like, you didn't even answer me. That would have gone right up me. Oh my gosh, and Blake doesn't answer me when I ask him questions. I'm like, did you hear me? I was ready for Roger to be like, Bree, I just asked you a question. Why'd you shoot him?
So as it relates to the Sopranos, it was left into interpretation what happened to this family. And I liked it because it didn't matter. At that point, when the screen goes black, the story ends. It doesn't matter. The story of that family that you're watching for The Sopranos is ended. That's the end. And the same thing goes, I think, for this. I like the fact that it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what Bree thinks. And Bree is comfortable knowing what she believes. So when I have to make my own headcanon for it, I anticipated saying both. I think it's a little bit of mercy because she probably felt bad for him in some way. Like, when she grabs that doll that he has made for
what
his...
the heck?
Right? Weird.
Creepiest dolls ever. Puppets are so creepy.
But
Dolly Pupple. Oh, it made me think of all the creepy things hanging in the Polar Express movie. Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
Gosh. Look at all these nice trinkets I got him. I would have been like, this is the worst.
Right. So in my own headcanon, she chooses both because I think she did feel bad for him. When she grabs that doll and she looks at him, you could see it in Sophie Skelton's face. It's like, whoa, I did not anticipate this. Maybe this guy is like for real. Like maybe this is what he's saying. Maybe he really believes it. So of course he tells her about the dream that he has, that he's alone. And because when you start weighing all this, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a little bit of mercy. But then the other part is this guy has been hunting her for a long time, and he has put her through some serious trauma. And now this is finally, Bree has agency in this show. It's not a bunch of dudes sitting around talking about how, oh, Bonnet's done this and Bonnet's done that, and you got to kill him and I got to kill him. We got to go get him. Bree finally turns around and says, nope, taking this in my own hands. I got this. Everybody just F off. I got this. I'm taking care of it.
Yes.
So that's how I feel about that.
Awesome. I dig it.
But the dolls, the whole interaction between Bree and Bonnet was and this is why I think I said the interesting aspect of this episode. Because I feel like Bree was obviously lying to him the entire time.
Sophie Skelton brought her acting
She
game.
did.
Oh, dang. I think it's my
did.
favorite Bree episode so far.
Do you think the show, the emotional math added up for both of the characters? Do you think like Bonnet
I don't really know what you're asking.
Do you think Bonnet was acting in a genuine way?
Yes.
And do you think he honestly believed Bree?
I think he was 50-50. I think he was waiting to like kiss her to find out. I think he was hopeful. I do think he's crazy. And I think that he's known he's had a son all this time, which is messing with him. Of course, he's an orphan. I do think there are elements of him that, you know, started to trick his brain. You know how you plant those little seeds in your own brain? You dream things up like, ooh, what if I start this career? What if I start this job? And then you start to kind of like dream it up. And then you find out, oh, it's totally possible. And you're going to get loads of money. You know, so he knew he had a son, or he thought he had a son. It's Roger's back off. Come on, leave little Jimmy alone. And that he came with a load of cash that would be pretty much in his name because he's the daddy and he has people backing him up. So all of this combined, heck, if he can end up getting his dream of being a gentleman, because that's one of the things, I don't think we've had that idea woven in enough that Bonnet really wants to be high class. He wants this money because he wants to be this upper echelon.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mary.
So it was kind of like added in now where we're sitting there saying, whoa, this is a lot. You know, he actually cares about being fancy, but we've got to see him hanging with fancier people, dressing fancy. You know, he does care about his appearance and he does care kind of, you know, what some people think of him when it comes to the hierarchy of society.
Sure.
So knowing that he could get a son, a wife, and a ton of money and automatically be high society in a place that he's established himself as a well-known person, I think he's told himself a lot of these lies as like a hope.
Sure.
And once again, this is up to complete personal interpretation. You could be sitting there saying, this is just Bonnet playing a game. I mean, Bonnet's literally played cat and mouse with these people for as long as we've known him.
Sure.
But to me, I saw it as believable. And I think that the show wanted us to kind of feel that way a bit.
Yeah, we have a listener here, Debbie. She's saying, Mary, you're too nice. He doesn't want to care about the kid. He doesn't. It's just about the money. The money, as Bree notes. Would you agree with that? Or do you think that is a little too harsh on Stephen Bonnet, the character?
All right. So, I have several friends who are adopted.
Okay.
And when it comes to the topic of having their own family, several of them have gotten very, very emotional in a way that, like, I don't normally see in other families. Several of them have had difficulties with that because when you have that kind of, now mind you, I wasn't adopted, so I can't talk about this personally, but you know, he was orphaned, like he didn't have parents. So I think that there's probably this portion of him that is being honest, that he can have a family, that he does have a son, and that he says it in the show. You know, he didn't have a father figure to help raise him, and he wants to be that for Jemmy. So I took from that seeing different things that I've seen in my own life with different friends about difficulties with struggling with the concept of family.
Sure.
As I believed him. And once again, I may not be right.
Right, and that's the beauty of what I think Megan Farrell-Burke does here. Okay, setting aside whether or not Stephen Bonnet is emotionally intelligent enough to understand that Bree is lying the entire time, you at least have this discussion within the community and with yourself as a viewer. You have this discussion with yourself as, is Bonnet being genuine? Is he really being the kind of person?
I think it's selfishness. I think he wants to have a son. I think he wants to have first and foremost, he wants all that money. He wants the money and the prestige. His son comes along with it. Cool. We'll try this out. It's all selfishness. I don't think it's for Jemmy's sake. It's for his own sake. It's for a void that he's had in his life.
Yeah, but I thought, that's a good, I was just about not to argue with you, but I was just about to contradict you a little bit in that you were saying it's not about Jemmy. It's more about the money. It's this and that. And I was going to disagree with you because there was this one moment when he does say to Bree, when you said to me there was something else that was going to be left of me after I was gone.
Yeah.
I really believe him in that moment. And
Agreed.
I really believe that he felt that way. But then you said very smartly, there was a void in his life. And Jemmy and the money and everything, that potentially fills the void.
Now, mind you, this does not mean, oh my goodness, he's so great. He just wants to be a dad. No, he's still the scum of the earth. He's doing this selfishly. Selfishly, he wants to be a dad. He has this void in his life. Selfishly, he wants this money so he can gain this status in society. I do not like this man. I love Ed Spaliers as an actor. I don't like this man, but I do think that he talked himself into this dream world.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
So many people put in our own minds. How many of us, when we were young, dreamed that we were going to be rich and live in a big house and have a family who loved us and, whatever. Like, there's probably that little inkling inside of him that wants the great American dream, right? And here you go. It's already made for you. You just have to steal Bree and take a baby.
And the funny thing is too, so there's I think there's an argument to be made here. One where I kind of wanted Bonnet to be hurt by Bree. Like he says he is hurt by her, but not do the whole prostitute thing and see this is what you're going to be missing. Oh. That was a little too big. I mean,
that was Bonnet.
That was Bonnet doing what a sociopath and a psychopath would do. This is what you're going to be missing. But part of me, there's that one little bit of me that wanted him to not do that and to be genuinely hurt by Bree.
I didn't want him to do that.
I don't know. What I'm saying is really go all in with the fact that he wanted things to work with Bree, and she's the one who pushes him to a point where he's like, okay, I can't do this with you. And he tries to sell her off. He tries to give her away.
Before that all happens, though, we get the whole dinner thing.
Yeah, what do you think about the dinner thing?
Okay, so first and foremost, tale as old as time. Did anyone else think about Beauty and the Beast?
Yes, absolutely. I was even getting shades of Hannibal, too. Remember when Hannibal Lecter and Clarice have dinner and they're eating the guy's brain?
That is much more appropriate.
That is what I was getting some serious Hannibal
so
coming
of course
from
Bonnet
this.
was like, oh, I've got a present for you. And it turns out to be this yellow dress. Awesome. And she looks amazing. And he's awkward at dinner and she has to tell him how to eat. And all I kept thinking was Belle teaching first, Belle at the top when the music to Beauty and the Beast starts and she starts to walk down the staircase. So when, the servant opened the door, that's what I felt like. Mrs. Potts was going to pop out of somewhere singing. And then he, tries to figure out how to have her seat. And I was ready for him to pick up a soup bowl like the beast does. And but instead she still had to teach him, that's when it clicked for her.
Yes.
When he said, can you teach me about, how to be in high society and
elbows off the
table.
Yeah.
And she's getting kind of alpha a little bit. However, one of my favorite lines was when she said, I could never think any less of you.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what that was to me?
Yep.
That was Frank.
Ooh, good one, Mary.
Just like that. A winner.
Frank knows how to throw shade like no other.
Frank
in a
was
way that
savage.
People don't even know.
No, Frank
what was the
savage.
One? I had low...
I had low expectations from the beginning, and you certainly met them. Oh, when they couldn't find Claire in season 2.
R.I.P. Frank Randall.
Frank is right there above my speaker, always watching, just for this very moment.
Also,
you know what? No.
What?
No.
Oh, what? I'm so happy that you're proud of me.
I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you that I'm trying to find the damn sound. Here it is. This is for Frank. Thank you, Frank. And thank you, Mary, for bringing him up in this discussion because
you know
what?
She didn't get her lying or
That was
sass
apropos.
from Claire. You know she didn't. Claire's a terrible liar.
Yep.
It's been brought up many times.
Yep.
You know, and here's like secret agent Frank Randall, who probably had like sass competitions with Bree. You know what I mean? In addition to like teaching her how to shoot and ride horses, he was probably like, all right, now I'm going to teach you some important things, how to throw shade when the person you're talking to doesn't even know. I could never think any less of you. I need to use that one at some point in life.
I know. I think I've used that once in real life.
Really?
I think I used it once in real life. It was something to do with work.
I couldn't think.
I can't remember what it
never
was.
think any less of you.
I think that was great. Good stuff, Mir. Way to bring that.
You're welcome.
Way to bring that.
You are welcome.
Killing it today. Absolutely.
You know,
killing it.
this is what happens, man. What happens when we're chilling.
So I think we've discovered a lot about Bonnet and Bree in this episode. Is there anything else that you want to?
I mean, really, the thing that I love is that all of us get to ask our own selves: was Bonnet being honest? Was Bree merciful? And you know, we all get to leave with that, but we're missing a lot of people in this discussion. Like, I know you want to wrap up, but I'm not done.
No. I'm not moving on from the show. I'm wondering if, and the reason why I ask, well, as I was just asking, I thought of this one line that he talks about. He says, there are two sides to every story and you don't know mine. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't necessarily get to hear that side of the story. I mean, we get to hear that there was basically some kind of trauma. There was some kind of things that happened in his life. And he is having these anxiety attacks almost of knowing.
He was put in the hole that he dug.
Right.
That was a story that happened at my university.
What do you mean?
That like some guy was buried in the foundation at one of my dorm rooms and that his ghost would haunt the people on the basement floor.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
We had some crazy ghost stuff happen in my school.
That's
Rhode
aggressive.
Island is one of the like ghost capitals of the United States.
Yeah, like all the witches, man. There's so many witches
vampires
in Rhode Island.
and witches.
Yeah.
But yeah, like vampires.
Yeah, straight up crazy people lived in Rhode Island.
Google that when you're about to go to bed.
It was Massachusetts prison for a long time. So yeah, there's going to be some crazy things.
Oh, you're
happening.
crazy? Go to Rhode Island.
Go to Rhode Island with all them people with Roger Williams. Why don't you head over there with them?
That young guy.
Rhode Island is the state that Connecticut and Massachusetts didn't want. It was the property that they didn't want.
They didn't want to be a part of them either, and they tried not to be part of the United States.
But I really liked also too something that was, even though I didn't believe the emotional math that Stephen Bonnet would.
Oh, another line. Hold on. There was a child. You heard that.
I didn't hear it.
You swear there was some bump-a-da-bump.
I didn't hear it.
I'm going to vamp.
No, that was me.
No, it wasn't. It came from up there.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
All right.
I need you to go check. I'm
Wait.
not checking. I'm not checking if there's a bumpity bump in the middle of the night.
Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. Right, vamp.
I've got terrible Taekwondo skills. I've only watched my children in Taekwondo about 8 times, and they're still a white belt, okay? All I can do is, yes, sir. I wanted to talk about, by myself, maybe with our Facebook friends, the other line that I loved is, I need something I can't buy, to which Bree responds, a moral compass. Loved it. I'm telling you, Bree has major shade game. So I hope that others enjoyed her shade. And really, Sophie Skelton was just flipping fantastic. Stephanie Morse says on Facebook, it reminded me of an Anne Rice novel, The Scenes with Bree on the Island. Ooh, yes. Love that. And so what we're going to be doing, we're going to be switching over from these characters in a hot sec. I think Blake is coming down. He is coming down. Dun, 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 dun.
So what I was about to say before, sorry, I just hit the mic.
Can I just give a moment?
Yes.
For Jocasta's couch once again? I know we've talked about her furniture before.
Oh, the couch and the fancy Pippin uses a fancy pillow to kill her.
Pippin like touches, he strokes that couch. Gosh, I'm having difficulty with words.
Keep drinking the Trulies.
He's petting in the couch, just daydreaming that this is going to be his. It's like this deep teal blue color, and I was like, I'd be doing the same thing. I would be petting that same couch.
Yes. Why wouldn't you? With all the embroidery and everything.
Do you know whose couch I didn't like?
Who? Bonnets. Yeah, the orange, like the burnt
the mustard
orange.
just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, not great, Bob. I was not happy with that one either.
Seriously, just like the scenery, the set design, and the costumes just need a moment.
Yep.
Oh, Claire and Bree's outfit. And those couches.
Oh, gorgeous stuff.
Enough said.
So there are two more things that I want to mention about Bree and Bonnet.
Okay.
First, even though I didn't believe the emotional math that as I was about to say, that Bonnet couldn't understand that Bree was playing him the entire time, I did like the tension of knowing that Bonnet was able to blow up at any second. And Bree was well aware of that. Yeah. And we as viewers were very well aware of that.
Were you worried that he was going to look at the book when he grabbed it from her to look to see
absolutely.
if the picture was a whale?
No, I thought he could read. And he would be able to read the book and be like...
I was worried he was going to see like machine pieces and be like, there's no picture of a whale or a boat.
Yeah.
What is this? Fibber?
I thought that he could read, and he was just... And that's when he was going to be like, I got you. I thought that's what was going to happen.
I told Blake it was my second Moby Dick reference. Well, actually the third, because we were talking about the whales when Bree and Claire were on the beach. Earlier that day, I watched Matilda with my children, and it's actually the book that Matilda, a young child, is reading in it.
And then the other thing that I want to point out about Bonnet is I talked about setting. And setting, when it comes to any show, is so important. Whether it is Scotland for Outlander in the first few seasons, or Downton Abbey, right? Talking about your boy Jimmy, Downton Abbey as this big, beautiful, grand house in the English, countryside, or Breaking Bad with Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Lost with Hawaii. These are settings that you had never seen before, and they are all used to the show's advantage in every single case. Ozark is another one, too.
I've never seen it.
In the Ozarks.
Okay.
These are settings that are really important to the life and the DNA of the show. These add things to the show and the story that you're trying to tell. The same thing happens here in this episode. Bree is with Bonnet, her nightmare, her rapist, her torture device. And she is there with him alone, of course, with some servants, in this big, enormous, grand house where everything is open, everything is like massive, and she has the freedom to go anywhere she wants, but she's still imprisoned because she's on an island. She's on an island where nobody can get to unless they have a boat, and Bonnet allows her to go. And it's desolate. You saw the house among everything else, and there was nothing there. It was just this massive house.
Yep.
So even though she is free to do whatever she wants, and she is free to go, that right there, she's still imprisoned on this island. I thought that was great visual storytelling, great visual juxtaposition about the story that she's in.
Reminds me a lot of Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones. Bonnet does, and the cat and mouse, and just the like flip of a switch. You know what I mean? And just doesn't care. He's 5 minutes before in the show, he's ready to live his life with Bree. He's saying, "I felt this connection," and then the moment of the kiss is done, and he's about to go sell her for £6.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see Ramsay Bolton doing that.
Exactly.
But I can't see Ramsay Bolton ever having any kind of emotional relationship with anybody.
True.
I can't see that.
So can we get to everybody else?
Yes. Let's do that. Let's absolutely do that.
So one of my favorite things in this episode is we got to see Jamie, Claire, Roger, Ian, and Bree coming up with a plan to catch and kill Bree's rapist. Bree's finally able to have a say.
Yeah.
And she's down with it. And they break apart. The guys are going to go off and try to take care of everything that's going on. And instead, Bonnet doesn't show up. But before that happens, of course, we get to hear Roger talk with Jamie about how he is going to be the one that wants to kill Bonnet. How he's ready.
Sure.
He's ready to do this. And I loved this moment between them. To see the bromance between Roger and Jamie grow on screen gives me so much joy. I love how well the clay matched Ian's skin. Holy smokes. When she said Clay, I'm like, our Clay around here does not look
He
that
had
way.
a minute with Mary. I'll tell you that.
Did.
Oh, my goodness.
Seriously.
He had all the minutes with Mary on that one.
So off they go. And it's, of course, not Bonnet. It's just his three little henchmen guys that come on in. And what a brawl.
Yeah, a good little brawl. And I loved when Roger was trying to fight off this dude. He's like, what took you so long? And Jamie has this little smirk like, yeah, you're all right. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Like,
and Jamie does it again. Roger goes, a scene that made me laugh so much in the rewatches was, and it shouldn't make me laugh, it's when Roger is beating up Bonnet.
Yeah.
And Bree is being consoled by Claire and Jamie. And Jamie's just watching Roger and Bonnet from afar. And I'm thinking, like, Bonnet is such a little weasel. Like, Bonnet could easily have a little knife on him and stab Roger. And Jamie's just there watching.
Right.
Because Jamie has faith and also knows that Roger said, this is my fight that I want to have.
Right.
And Jamie appreciates that rather than, because in my opinion, 2020 woman who doesn't get in fights. Once again, my fight skills are 8 lessons of children's taekwondo. I would be there. I would be like, we're in numbers. I'm going to go help Roger so we could beat the living daylight out of Bonnet and then we could figure out what to do with him. I'm not just going to sit here and like let Roger fight his own fight, but this was man code.
Sure.
This is man code
This
that
was
these
guy
guys have
code.
established that, this is Roger's fight. And I really thought that was cool. So even on the rewatch, it was just to see him do it twice, to
Sure.
just like let Roger have these fights by himself is also Jamie teaching his son-in-law. Like, this is how we fight. You fight for life.
You fight to the death, man.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no holds barred here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the callback. Obviously, when Roger was relying on Jamie to be like, "Hey, what took you so long?" And at the end of the episode, when Roger has to fulfill his role in this, he has to do it himself, and Jamie allows him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was great. And again, part of the setting aspect of this show and the setting, I think, is really what makes this episode sing. Not only did we have the stuff with Bonnet and Bree in his own island, but we have the stuff on the beach. And the beach is really important, I think, to the DNA of this show.
How come?
Because you don't often see in Outlander a beach setting. You don't often see it. Normally, you're used to the rolling hills, you're used to greens, you're used to mountains, woods, the big house, the cabin. That's the language that the show has established. Yet they're going to a beach here to have a moment with Bree and Claire, racing like they did when they were back in the Cape.
So stinking cute.
And talking about being down the Cape, back in the 60s, bringing that moment of time travel back into the show, bringing it back into the story. Hey, remember that down the Cape when we used to run?
I love it.
That's
why it was my great.
And we don't often get a chance to see Bree and Claire be mother-daughter. We don't often see that. So having this time together between the two on the beach is great. But not only is the beach great, the way that they shot it was great because it was set so far back.
Yes.
And the story at this point is much bigger than just Bree and Claire.
Unlike season 3 where it was like hyper zoomed in on Claire.
Correct.
Being, stuck on this beach and it was like, just dread and action. It was so big that you got to feel like we're alone.
Right.
Which is fun for Claire and Bree.
Yes.
Get to be alone, chat a little bit about the difference in Wales between now and then.
Right.
Race.
Once again, bringing the time travel aspect into it.
Yes, but then
which is
also
important.
seeing these grandscapes of beach, realizing where Bonnet is a desolate.
Right.
It was an island where you can't get to
And
easily.
and the other thing too is that the beach plays into the conversation that eventually Bonnet has with Bree in his house, where he says, creatures go to something along the lines of creatures go to war with each other at the sea, or something along those lines. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, when he's talking about his fear of drowning.
It's just like oh God, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. I thought I had it written, but he was saying like the sea is a bad place.
Yes.
And people fight each other on the sea, and it doesn't forgive. And looming over Bree and Claire are not only these gray skies, the storm that is to come, that is Stephen Bonnet, but the sea. The sea, as Bree walks into it with her bare feet, vulnerable. The sea is what is encapsulating her, and Bonnet's message of warning later on makes sense. It is the riptide. It's the waves of fear and anger, and the waves of jealousy and hatred and wanting and trying to become something other than what you are. All of that stuff is wrapping around Bree at that moment. And it's only fitting that they're on the beach because they have this danger of the sea, they have the danger of the gray skies, and Bonnet is coming to them without them knowing.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that was wonderfully written, wonderfully shot.
Yes.
You Andy Griffin nailed it on that one.
Well done, Blake.
You can't get any better than that.
Oh,
you can't get any better than that. Really, it was excellent stuff.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to switch gears to when Bree gets taken and the group gets back together.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not very much, but
yeah, and I do want to talk about Fancy Pippin in a little bit. So once you get to that, and let's talk about Fancy Pippin.
Okay. What I did love is how Claire and Jamie kept their cool. Like Bree was literally just stolen by Bonnet. Mm-hmm. Claire rides her horse and meets with everybody. Bonnet's got her, and they go, of course, into town and they figure out that he frequents this brothel. They go in there, and once again, I am so different than Claire. Because I would have gone in and been like, help me! I'll give anyone any money that you need. Someone's not my daughter. And there they are just keeping their cool. You know, and granted, we can see Claire being not super duper cool because we know her, right? She's kind of freaking out. But for the most part, keeping her cool, much better than I would have been. And even going so far as to help that woman, realizing she was in need and then able to tie in, you know, we help people in need. That's what we do. It's the right thing to do. And I loved that. At first, Claire was thought of being a charm woman, like being a witch yet again. Like Claire just can't shake this. You know what I mean? Just because she has this amazing ability as a healer to see people's physical needs, everyone just comes to these conclusions like, oh, she's got to have some weird magic thing associated with her. Rather than Claire being like, no, your leg is short, so you're welcome. Which, of course, came to be the title card. What a great title card.
And then, again, killing it with the title cards. Things that are pertinent to the show, but not in your face, where you almost have to decipher it.
Were you sitting there being like, "Who's going to wear that shoe?"
Right. That's exactly. I thought it was going to be a shoe that Stephen Bonnet was wearing, or somebody else was going to wear. I thought that was going to be the case.
You want to talk about Forbes?
I do want to talk about Forbes.
Okay,
but in this light, when Claire and Bree are going to get the glass blown for the tube, I did not like the scene at all, and it's not because of the acting. It's not because of whatever, and that's not because I don't like the idea of them trying to make this syringe.
Okay,
it was just so expository, and it was so like, oh, okay, just so everybody understands what we're doing. I have to explain this to the guy why we're getting all of this made and putting it all together. It's like, that was bad.
Okay, you felt like it was choppy.
The choppy wasn't even the word. It was just like that was not how it opened, but it was pretty close to how the episode opened, and I was like, oh, this is not how this episode's going to go.
What I felt weird about is how she was like, oh, you know, the doctor needs it, meaning she wasn't the doctor. Yep. And then later on she says, I prefer glass. It's much easier to sterilize.
Sure.
And he's kind of looking at her and I'm like, Claire, be quiet. Be quiet, Claire. But like you said too, they have to lay it down that you know, that needle hasn't been created yet.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying. It's kind of like they need to kind of like throw in these facts and remind people that this is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. So, I'm still looking for the pie hussy. Where is she?
Yeah, where is the pie hussy?
Maybe she's married to the glass blower.
So yeah, I thought that scene was very bad. But I do want to talk about Fancy Pippin here. Did you find this scene with Fancy Pippin? Forbes, but we call him Fancy Pippin.
We do.
Thank you, Janine, for that one. Do you find the scene to be a little too much? Just a little much?
Yeah, it's my bad.
Yeah, I know, but was there any way they could make that work? Especially in light of what was happening with Bree and Bonnet the whole time. And like all of a sudden the guy just goes off the rails and tries to kill her right then and there.
Did you
like,
get from the show that
how is he going to explain that?
Did you get from the show that Forbes wanted to marry Jocasta?
No.
Because he says, like, you're keeping my money from me.
No. Because remember, he was supposed to get 20% of whatever Bonnet got.
I know.
Okay, all right,
but Jocasta says something like, yeah, you didn't marry Brianna. And I'm, he or Jocasta say it, where it's like, I was supposed to marry Bree. And then you chose Duncan Innes over me. So did you pick up in the show ever that Forbes wanted to marry Jocasta?
Oh, no. I never got that. And in fact, I thought he only wanted to marry Bree, and that was
so that took me out, where I was like, this what?
This doesn't make sense. And the fact
Fancy Pippin.
The fact that he just all of a sudden, like, I liked him getting mad.
Yes.
I loved the idea of him getting mad, being like, okay, yeah, 20
Are you writing
pounds
everything down? Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, yeah, I am.
Scribble.
Yep. I liked that. I thought that was great. But him all of a sudden just coming to decide to straight up murder her, dude, how are you gonna even explain that?
I mean, a lot of people sadly do murder like without thinking it through.
But I agree, but all of a sudden, this guy is a man of stature and wealth, apparently, within the community.
I don't think he's got that much wealth.
Maybe he doesn't, but he still has influence within the community.
Yes.
Like, he didn't, again, the whole thing, the emotional math. This guy, Forbes, didn't get there by being stupid. And the same thing with Bonnet. He didn't get there by being stupid. And all of a sudden, these two are doing things that are genuinely stupid. And I get angry with that because it's like, come on, man, I don't think this would happen. I'm glad he got what was coming to him from your boy, from
Ulysses.
Ulysses, thank you. I'm glad he got what was coming to him. I'm glad. But it just felt like the Fancy Pippin
It's different than the book. Does that make it better for you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because I don't care what the book does. I care about what the show does.
Are you ready for this? Y'all ready? Can I give an outlandish theory if it like is something that already happened? Not really happening in the present or future?
Sure.
Just throw it on in. Give me a sound. Give me a sound.
All right, hold on. Here it is.
I am so excited to hear what other people think about this. Okay. So Jocasta was like the happiest I've ever seen her outside of the bedroom.
I know where you're going with this. I know where you're going. Continue.
Okay. I think she was egging him on. I don't think she thought he would kill her because exactly, this is Fancy freaking Pippin. Okay. She probably didn't think he'll kill me, but I think that she was egging him on to get a reaction out of him because,
yes.
Okay. What we are told is that when Jamie's bit by the snake and he tells Roger, Bonnet's coming after you and he wants River Run because he knows that Jemmy's going to get it. And we know all this stuff and Lord John Grey's seen him. And then Roger tells Bree this stuff. What in the freaking world? Like, how does James Fraser and Lord John Grey and now Roger and Bree, how do they know that Bonnet's coming after their kid? How do they know that Bonnet wants River Run? Who is the only person aside from Jamie and Ulysses who was in that room who that knows that Jemmy's going to get River Run?
Right.
It's Forbes. So obviously, Jamie probably told Jocasta, like, hey, just so you know, this creepy guy Bonnet, who raped Bree, who you hung out with for the better part of a year, is planning on somehow coming to get River Run. And put two and two together, the only other person who knows that is Forbes. Mm-hmm. So Jocasta kept her freaking cool because, and this is what's weird. I don't know if this is going to come up later in the show or if we're just supposed to put these puzzle pieces together, but like, how would Jamie and Lord John, like, how would these puzzle pieces have been put together otherwise? So I think Jocasta was playing Forbes. Yeah. I think that Ulysses was nearby on purpose to catch Forbes, hopefully cracking and being like, oh no, you got me, but not killing Jocasta. I don't think they expected that.
I think they're
trying to.
I think there's potential for that to be the case. That if that is the case, it's the show being very smart with itself in that they could explain it next episode.
That's what I'm hoping. Because otherwise, how is everyone supposed to know this? And then how would they not warn Jocasta? And Jocasta just acted really, really giddy.
If this isn't a planned thing, that to me, I don't know, it doesn't feel
Like maybe
right.
Lord John Grey comes back next episode with a Sherlock Holmes hat and pipe and is like, so glad you guys heeded my advice after all of my
right.
detective work, that the only person in the room that knew about this was Forbes. Glad Ulysses took care of that.
Right. So I think there's potential there for them to address this next episode if that is the case. If it was planned out, the plan didn't work out all that well because she almost croaked and Ulysses came in at the very last second.
Yeah.
So,
not well planned, Jocasta and Ulysses.
So there's some plot holes here. There are some things that just don't add up.
But she was loving it.
Yeah, she seemed to be enjoying every second of it.
She could hear it in his voice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's probably like, you know what? Young Ian's had a rough start. Give him 2.
Yeah, we have a person here, Michelle. She says on YouTube, "I'm worried what happens to Ulysses now." Here's an early outlandish theory. Early outlandish theory is nothing happens to Ulysses. Nothing. The reason why I say nothing happens is because he is in the care of Jocasta. She seems to have a lot of standing within the community. She's got enough money to buy his freedom if he really needs it. Trust me, nothing happens to him. There's no chance.
Interesting.
That's my thought on that. But for my...
Can I also just give a shout out to my chiropractor?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Watching Claire touch that woman's hips. Did it make you think of
her sacrum was way off.
Dr. Megan?
Oh,
seriously.
Yes. Oh,
I was like, oh, man. First world problems, but man, COVID-19, you are keeping me off kilter with my own alignment, and I need a Claire to come and like adjust me.
I actually just learned that chiropractors are essential practice.
Oh my!
It's so funny. I heard that today. I can't believe you brought this up. That's
Why
incredible.
are we not going?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness! Probably better for especially us because now we're pseudo quarantine because of your exposure.
Okay.
Let's just like raise a glass for the ship captain, who even though he's a dirty rotten scoundrel,
I'll take my leave.
Yeah, I'm going. He and Lad, whoever Lad was.
Look at the time.
Let's just keep on going. And I love how they showed him like 3 extra times where he was like, all right, Lad, go get the boat.
Yeah.
And then like Roger and Bonnet are fighting and everything. Okay, let's go back to the boat. But Lad, like random ship captain. Bye. See ya. You're done.
Oh man, that's so funny. All right. Anything else you got for this episode that you want to talk about real quick? As you look over your notes.
Oh, I did picture Lord John Grey sitting in the pub that Bonnet and Forbes would frequent, covered in a cloak, like the guy in Lord of the Rings. Like, they're just having these conversations in the brothel all the time in public. And I'm just picturing Lord John Grey because, of course, wedding season's kind of off right now. His whole calendar is kind of free.
Yes.
And, isn't any shopping to do right now. The glass guy keeps trying to get him to buy bottles, but he's like, I don't need any more bottles, man. So he's just like creeping with a big hood.
Like it was a Strider. That was the name.
Strider, with like his perfect ponytail hidden. So his telltale sign is not with a perfect bow that he has to tie by himself.
You know he does.
Oh, he can do that.
Oh yeah, no, he can do it like
it's like people who can French braid their own hair perfectly.
Eyes closed.
Yep,
he can do that.
Lord John Grey, we know what he's been up to. he's been Strider from Lord of the Rings, just chilling in
just
the corner
waiting with the hood, with the pipe.
Take down all these notes. It was Forbes in the brothel.
Now he's playing Clue.
He figured it out
with the fancy pillow.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Anything else you got
That's
for
it,
this
my love.
episode? All right.
That's it.
Well, let's get to my outlandish theory. All right. So I don't know where the show goes from here.
Where are you going? Dave Matthews?
Oh yeah. No, I'm all about the Dave Matthews life. That a girl. Keep drinking. Keep drinking, my girl. All right. So I don't know where the show goes from here. It's not to say that it doesn't.
First off, Lord John Grey has to come back.
Yeah, of course he has to come back.
What else is he doing?
The wedding season's over. You know come on. No, he's coming back. I don't know where it goes from here, and it's not to say that the show can't go somewhere interesting. It's the biggest thing that they've building up to for the past 2 seasons is now gone. It is gone. Stephen Bonnet is gone.
You said the same thing when Jack Randall died.
Yes, but this is different because I know that there's more story going to happen. And it's within this season. Black Jack Randall dies at the beginning of season 3. # spoilers. So you knew.
Like,
You're welcome. You know that they were leading to bigger things for season 3 when Blackjack Randall dies. This thing here is, I don't know what they're going to do for the remaining 2 episodes, because there seems to be a little bit of a black hole here. Like, okay, where do we go?
Yeah.
Unless what they're doing is they're opening up room for what happens next season. And that's part of my outlandish theory here. So it means that they must be getting to something big. Something big must be coming down the road. And because they needed to kill off Stephen Bonnet early enough to give this big thing some weight. Something that will give you the emotional math that adds up, that says, okay, this makes sense. I see why they killed Bonnet.
Are you landing your point sometime soon?
Oh my God.
Land the plane, Helen.
Yes, thank you, Mary. So part of me thinks back to Ian's words about Claire and Jamie having secrets. And
Secrets are no fun.
Part of me thinks that I think he knows that they're from the future. And
Tasty.
if you recall, Ottertooth was in the tribe that, he was in the Mohawk, and he knew about travel and all of this stuff. Part of me thinks that Ian has been given that knowledge somehow. And Ian knows it, and he's confronting them. So they have to tell Ian that they're from the future. And this is going to cause some big issues. They're going to have to come clean. This is going to cause some big issues within the little community that they've created. And more importantly to that end, since Ian will now know that they're from the future, he's going to say to Bree, what are you doing here? What are you, like, you just almost got killed, and Jemmy almost got taken.
Tell me more about these Boston cream pies.
I wonder if they find out by season's end. I think I've said this before, but I'm putting it down here. This was in take development. This is going to be real life now.
Okay.
They find out that Jemmy by season's end is a traveler somehow, and they make the decision at the end of this season, Bree and Roger with Jemmy, to go back. And that is what the big thing that they're leading up to is. These two going back with Jemmy, and they get pushed. They push themselves in that direction. And we don't necessarily leave with them like going to the Stones, but I think it's the decision of like, okay, we're going, and that's that. And then it ends. That's my feeling on it.
And they wake up with the dinosaurs. Land of the Lost. No.
That's my girl. Marvin, what do you think about that?
Interesting.
Mock me.
Please hang up and try again.
So that is it. You got final thoughts for this episode, Mary?
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. I think there was some glaring issues that were in it, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it based on Ed Spalia's charisma alone.
And it will be interesting to see what happens with the Jocasta storyline.
Yeah, I thought that she was actually dead for a second, because I was like, okay, that's the end of Jocasta. And like,
and Ulysses just like kissing her hand.
Oh, I know. Sweet
Melt my heart. Oh my goodness.
I thought that was going to be, I thought that she was going to be dead. Jemmy was going to get the river run. And then Bree and Roger were going to move into river run. And then like the whole world was going to be back to normal again. Like I thought that's what was going to happen. But now that Jocasta's alive, I don't see that happening.
You're just going to have to watch.
We're going to see. We're going to see.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to close this bad boy out?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it.
Time to listen to this episode, and if this is your first time listening to us, we would love for you to find your podcast app of choice on your phone, search for Outlander, find Outlander Cast, and click subscribe.
Yeah, go to Outlander Cast, click it there, find it, give us some reviews on iTunes or any of the podcatchers that you're going at. And if you like Mary and Blake and you like what we do and the things that we are bringing to the table, you can search us at maryandblake.com, where you can find all of our podcasts that are there that include The Crown, Hamilton, Game of Thrones, The Leftovers, a parenting podcast is A Minute with Mary podcast, talking about network marketing. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening there. We're even doing a Handmaid's Tale blog series that I'm writing, which I'm very proud of. I just started season 3, by the way, which I'm in on it. And if you also want to continue to get more things from Mary and I, you can go to OutlanderCastClan.com, where you can get a whole bunch of cool perks, man. Like, you can get free swag, you can get early access to our episodes, you get a free extra episode of Mary and Blake every single week during season of Outlander, which, by the way, if you are watching us live, we will be doing in about 10 minutes after this. So go to OutlanderCastClan.com and check out the After Dark show. That is the extra episode that you get weekly during the Outlander season. It's just an informal show between Mary and I where we talk about some things Outlander, but really we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff that happens in our lives, and it's a good behind-the-scenes personal experience with Mary and I. You want to learn more about us and our lives, that's where you got to go.
So you go to OutlanderCastClan.com, and if you join now at the Klansmen above level, you'll be able to participate in After Dark.
I can't wait.
About,
what snacks are we going to have?
I don't know, we're so running low, but I do have some options.
Okay, good. It's all about the snacks.
I do want to thank those of you who've taken the time to write a review. Those of you who are still listening right now, if you're on iTunes, can you please leave us a review? Because the most recent review is by this person named Bixie123, who wrote, "Stop singing during the podcast. It is so creepy and screams, I'm a narc."
How does singing scream that you're a narc? I don't get that. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, but it breaks my heart, and it's so mean. And Bixie is writing mean things during a pandemic. Leave me alone, Bixie.
God.
So I wanted to shout out Cheyenne, who said, "Just perfect. Couldn't ask for anything more in a podcast about Outlander." So thank you, Cheyenne, and Bixie123. I'm sorry you don't
Bixie,
like my singing.
you can screw, okay? You can legitimately go get your shine box,
No,
Bixie.
Bixie,
We're gonna
Bixie.
we're gonna
Stop, Bixie obviously listens.
I don't care. No, that's it. You're out. You're out of the circle of trust.
So if someone could write another review, that would make me
go
very
get
happy.
your shine box. And Mary's gonna still keep singing.
It's why I didn't sing Beauty and the Beast.
You
even though that's all I wanted to do when Bree entered the room, because how perfect she's Beauty and he is a beast. It was perfect.
Also, too, if you get a chance, go to the Mary and Blake Facebook page and leave us a review there. There's been a lot of great reviews as of late on the Mary and Blake Facebook page.
Oh, thank you, guys.
So if you're watching there live right now, please go ahead and check us out there, too, where we have a lot of cool things that happen in Mary and I's lives, a lot of good behind-the-scenes stuff in the studio and with just us in general, and movies and shows and the random things that come to our minds. So it is excellent, something that we want to do.
I also want to thank all of our patrons at OutlanderCastClan.com. You guys honestly keep this going, especially in times like this when our fiscal security in the company is a little scary. We really appreciate your taking the time to help support us in whatever way you can. So we want to thank our associate producers: Angie, Candy, Carolyn, Celine, Christine, Dawn, Diane, Jeffrey, Jennifer, Karen, Marilyn, Mo, Patricia, Siobhan, Stephanie, and Valerie, as well as our co-producers: Amanda, Anne-Leigh, Barbara, Dana, Janet, Keelin, LoriEllen, Maryanne, Meredith, Raynal, Sharon, Tina, and Whitney. And last but not least, our executive producers: Anne, Bobbi, Dee, Eliza, Jenn, Katy, Kirstie, Martha, Nadra, Peg, and Sara.
Thank you guys so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Some people here are saying, "Go home, Bixie, you're drunk." Oh, that was good stuff.
Oh my goodness. Thank you guys. So thank you seriously from the bottom of the heart. We're going to wrap this on up.
All right.
But we will be on Thursday with the listener feedback episode.
Yes.
You can find everything that we do at maryandblake.com. And for now, my name is Mary.
My name's Blake, and I don't have the coronavirus.
And you've been listening to Outlander Cast.